This is a call for all the people longing for liberation, who wander too often the desert, not sure of the way forward, too often thirsty and afraid, looking for water. Here is a call to collect ourselves and the hopes we have tucked away, set aside too often for another day. Here we are building a welcome table that never finds its end, a river that cannot run dry. The waters are always rapid and then steady, still, and then waterfalls. There is nothing tidy or perfect possible on this journey. Abundant life is messy and glorious, filled with risk. This is a call for the diving in with all the dreams of your heart. The struggles, the silliness, the fear, the hunger, the courage, the community, the love. Here we remember the time for joy is always now. Come and let us worship together. As we light our chalice this morning, the symbol of our Unitarian Universalist faith, I invite you to join with me in saying our traditional words, which are in your order of service if you do not have them inscribed in your heart. We light this chalice for the warmth of love, the light of truth, and the energy of service. When we picked out our opening hymn several days ago, it seemed like a good way to start our church year, to kick off our annual homecoming service, a song of welcoming in, enter, rejoice, and come in. And as I was looking at the lyrics slide yesterday, I was thinking about those lyrics, about rejoicing, about today will be a joyful day, knowing that many of us are showing up with hearts quite heavy, that this may not feel like the most joyful time. And yet, even in the midst of difficulty, there is always beauty, there is always joy to be found. And one of those places we find it is in being together. That is how we make it through hard times together. So it's so important that we seek out those places for joy. And so let us sing in that spirit, in this complicated world that we step into, bringing a little more joy into our lives, into our day. Please rise in body or in spirit and join in singing hymn number 361, Enter, Rejoice, and Come In. I invite you to remain risen for our affirmation.
Please join me to sing the affirmation of the congregation. You'll find it on the screen and in the handout you received in the sanctuary. It is also inscribed in many of our hearts. We say it in English and Spanish as a symbol of the many languages spoken in this community and beyond, the many languages of the soul. Love is the doctrine of this church, the quest of truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek truth in freedom, to serve humankind in fellowship, to the end that all souls may grow into harmony with the divine. This do we covenant with one another. El amor es la doctrina de esta iglesia. La búsqueda de la verdad es su sacramento y el servicio es su oración. Habitar juntos en paz, buscar la verdad con libertad y servir a la humanidad juntos, con el fin que de todas las almas pueden crecer en armonía con lo divino. Esto es lo que pactamos unos con otros. You may be seated. This on? Okay, thank you. So we will now light this candle in recognition of the Tamian and Muwekwa Ohlone indigenous peoples, who were the first humans to inhabit and sustain this land thousands of years before colonizer settlers arrived. We honor the resilience of these indigenous peoples in the face of devastating harm. And we lift up their neighboring descendants, the Ama Mutsun tribal band, with whom we are working to preserve their sacred land of Uristak and to ensure that their culture continues to thrive. Good morning and welcome. My name is Bill Bowman. My pronouns are he and him, and I am the worship associate for today's service. I am a 60-year-old male, white male with a white beard. I'm not quite looking like Santa Claus yet if I have a few more pounds on me. With a white dress shirt, blue jeans, and running shoes. Welcome to Homecoming, the gathering of the waters, a service which has a special place in my heart. Welcome to the new calendar year for this congregation. Whether you come every week, are here for the first time, have not been here for months or even years, you are welcome. And we look forward to sharing the coming year together. We welcome your waters wherever you have been, whatever you have learned, whether you have gained or lost, you and your water are welcome here today. In these hard times, we gather in community, in spirit, and joy. In a world that has become unrecognizable, may we recognize love in each other's faces and presence. If you are new here today, please reach out to any one of us, and you are also welcome to visit the welcome table after the service during social hour in Hattipora Hall through those double doors, which will be open at the end of the service. I understand that we're having a special luncheon today after the service. We welcome everyone to join, mix, and mingle. If you need a listening ear this week, please get in touch with Lois Smallwood, our pastoral associate of the week. Her email is in the orders of service at the very bottom. This is an all-generational service. Children are invited to stay, though there is a nursery downstairs with a Zoom link in case you have to go down there. So we still have construction. We are not done yet. The bathrooms downstairs are accessible. However, there's a little caveat in that we don't have sinks. Toilets work, but no sinks. So we do have hand sanitizer as a replacement. So if you're a little uncomfortable, please use the upstairs bathroom. We are working on it. It will be corrected soon. And for bathroom use, please trust each person to know which restroom is most comfortable and appropriate for them. Remember, we honor gender diversity. And I believe now we have a special song, an original composition by Rick Merritt.
And so while our musicians are getting set up, a couple quick announcements. So in addition to the luncheon, which of course everyone is welcome to and invited to join us, whether you brought something for the potluck or not, please join us. And we have our regular second Sunday rental group, which is the English dancing group, which their event starts at 2:30, and they will be starting to set up at 2. So that's our cap on when we need to be mostly cleaned up out of the hall at least. So, and I have a quick announcement about our Sunday activities next weekend.
Hi, everybody. Is Indra available? Oh, hi. Great. Is Indra in here? Come on up. So if you haven't heard yet, next weekend is Sunday, which is a national mobilization for clean energy and climate justice. And I'm wearing my Sunday shirt to advertise here. Here at our church, we are doing 2 events. Solar and wind have become the cheapest sources of energy in history. Clean energy jobs have outpaced fossil fuels. And if you hadn't heard, over 100 days last year, California generated 100% of its energy from clean energy, such as renewables like wind and solar. So the sun and wind are available to everyone, everywhere, and now what we need is collective action to demand them. So we have 2 actions that our church is hosting next weekend, and I really hope that you'll join us for one or both of them. The first, and I've got flyers, so I'll hand these out later. Come find me, come talk to me. The first is an interfaith gathering on Saturday here at 12 o'clock. There will be a lunch provided, and it's a really great opportunity to connect with faith and secular leaders to learn about how to expand our climate justice work. We've got Reverend Brian Ferguson, who spoke at the installation. He's the guy with the great Scottish accent. His church in Redwood City has done a beautiful job of building a climate justice team that is really focused on frontline communities, education, outreach, and advocacy. And so we're going to do a case study to learn from them and connect with faith communities across the area. We've invited Methodists and Presbyterians and Episcopalians and Catholics to join us here to really learn how we can amplify climate justice work and collaborate together. And then the second event is on Sunday, and I'll let Indra come up and talk a little bit about that.
So on Sunday, September 21st, we are part of a large team, more than 10 co-sponsors, putting on a March for Climate Justice. This will help demonstrate to our elected leaders that the population still cares about the climate, even when some elected leaders might not. The march will start from in front of our church at 12:30 next Sunday and proceed to City Hall, where we'll have short talks from one of our city council members as well as 2 leaders in the climate movement, and then come back to St. James Park for climate games and a BYO picnic. So hope to see you all next week as part of this nationwide day called Sunday that leads into Climate Week. There are more than, 300 events all around the country. This is San Jose's event. Hope to see you there.
Thanks, everyone. Hope to see you there.
I want to thank Sally Cooper Ryder for helping polish this song. And I want to thank you all for helping inspire it by making this church a wonderful place to come home to.
And before we start, I'm going to introduce us. So we are Guitars Aloud. My name is Amanda. This is Sally, Curtis, Rick, Ray, and Jim. And Rick is a newer member with us, so we welcome him and his new song. Go ahead, you can give him a round of applause. And as you know, we're going to be singing Homecoming by Rick Merritt. I was a loner, I did life on my own. Now I want more, I wanna belong. So here I am, a face among faces, hands holding hands, in one of my favorite places. When I'm truly seen, I feel like I can fly, and I'm coming home. I'm stronger now, I'm not alone. I'm here and proud, I'm coming home. So here we are, with all we know, spirit and bone, ready to grow. When we're truly seen, we feel like we're more free, and we're coming home. We're stronger now, we're not alone. We're here and proud, and we're coming home. We're stronger now, we're not alone. We're here and proud, we're coming home.
this on? Is it on now? Okay, good. Nancy and I are Labyrinth hosts, opening this space each week to anyone who wishes to walk the labyrinth. We're excited and grateful to dedicate this new labyrinth and to offer gratitude to all the hosts and all the walkers who came together on our previous labyrinth.
We'd like to invite any of you who'd like to join us in this ritual to form a circle around the labyrinth. You may also participate from wherever you are, but if you'd like to come up, you're welcome to. Don't worry, you don't have to do a lot.
If you wish.
It's great to have some of our former labyrinth hosts up here with us too. So we invite everyone to cup your hands in front of you. Imagine holding in your hands the energy of the more than 3,000 people who walked our previous labyrinth since 1998. Imagine their energy sparkling like a handful of glitter. Patrick and I are going to offer a series of prayers for this labyrinth. After each one, we invite you to respond with the following phrase: "We dedicate this labyrinth to the well-being of our community." We dedicate this labyrinth to the well-being of our community.
For all who enter in search of self-reflection and self-knowledge, may this labyrinth be a path of silence, stillness, and solitude.
We dedicate this labyrinth to the well-being of our community. For all those who enter confused or uncertain, may this labyrinth be a path of wisdom and discernment.
We dedicate
This labyrinth to the well-being of our community.
For all who enter carrying sorrow or grief, may this labyrinth be a path of comfort and consolation.
We dedicate this labyrinth to the well-being of our community. For all who enter anxious or fearful, may this labyrinth be a path of courage and perseverance. We dedicate this labyrinth to the well-being of our community.
For all who enter discouraged or in despair, may this labyrinth be a path of hope and encouragement.
We dedicate this labyrinth to the well-being of our community. For all who enter feeling weary, may this labyrinth be a path of rest and rejuvenation. We dedicate this labyrinth to the well-being of our community.
For all who enter with guilt or broken relationships, may this labyrinth be a path of forgiveness and reconciliation.
We dedicate this labyrinth to the well-being of our community. For all who enter wounded in body, spirit, or mind, may this labyrinth be a path of healing and restoration. We dedicate this labyrinth to the well-being of our community.
For all who enter in search of connection and belonging, may this labyrinth be a path of friendship and welcome.
We dedicate this labyrinth to the well-being of our community. For all who enter in celebration and joy, may this labyrinth be a path of thanksgiving and gratitude. We dedicate this labyrinth to the well-being of our community.
May this labyrinth be a path of transformation and growth for all.
We dedicate this labyrinth to the well-being of our community.
As we open our hands toward the labyrinth, we spill onto it all the sparkling energy of everyone who walked our previous labyrinth, as well as all the collective positive energy of everyone here today.
And we welcome all of the people who will walk their own paths on this new labyrinth. Blessed be.
Blessed be.
And our labyrinth serves many purposes. In many ways, it is the center of our spiritual community, certainly the center of this space. And so this morning, it also doubles as the center for our water communion ritual. Each year, as we gather again at the end of summer, it's our custom to offer water as a symbol of our connection of one to the other. It could be water gathered from travels, from the rain earlier this week, or from your tap. This morning, we will have 4 periods of sharing whatever water we have brought. And we want to share with one another what the water means to us, what it symbolizes in our own lives. First, we have a chance to share water that reminds us that while some have abundance, others struggle in scarcity. Second, we will share water that symbolizes travel and movement and change. Third, we share water that reminds us of life's storms, our concerns, our worries, our frustrations and losses. Finally, we'll share water that reminds us of joyful things, those things that are the well springs of our lives. Please don't worry about which time for sharing is the right time. The great thing about symbols is that they are open to many interpretations, and so you get to choose when you come forward, and you can pour water out more than once if you want. Part 1, drought. This vessel, empty of water, reminds us of all who lack access to safe and affordable water. I dedicate this first water to begin our water communion as a symbol of our solidarity with all those around the world who are calling to the human right to water, including hundreds of thousands of Palestinians in Gaza who have no reliable access to clean water. I also pour out water for all those farmers who've lost crops and livestock in the midst of often severe or extreme droughts. If you would like to share water representing an awareness of scarcity in our community or our lives, please come forward, coming up either side, to bring your water and pour a little water into the common bowl. If you're joining us online, you're welcome to get your own bowl to pour water into. And if you'd like to say a word or two, repeat that a word or two, about the significance of this water into the microphone. You can also type it into the chat if you're joining us online. And if you didn't bring any water with you today, I invite you to pour some from one of these 4 pitchers here on the table into the bowl. So you'll come up, speak, and then pour water. And you're, of course, always welcome to share silently. You don't need to speak to share. If you just want to come up and pour water, that's also welcome. And so now I invite you come forward to share these waters representing awareness of scarcity. If you want to speak, yeah, come up.
I thought you were going to say it.
We've poured water for trans youth and trans people who are
being insistently denied rights to health care.
I did not realize we were doing it in this format, but this is very convenient. I brought a bottle of fluoride supplements for this kid, for all the kids and people out in the world who need a little boost, including our San Jose water, which I found out is poorly fluoridated recently. So.
Well, I'm going to pour some water for me being out of my house and my brother being out of his house. So scarcity, not being able to turn the tap.
I'm pouring some out for my wife's mother who lost her mother a couple weeks ago. And so and not being close to be able to grieve.
I'm going to pour some water for all of the, I guess they're called AI farms, where like these huge monstrous buildings that are being filled with water to cool these big machines, and just thinking about all that water.
And mine is for the drought of tolerance, for the lack of remembering to love your neighbor as yourself.
There weren't very many hot days this year, at least not in our part of the world. And so this water is from my pool, where I at least have some time to enjoy.
And now we have our special collection this month, which is for our homeless concerns. It's a collection for our Homeless Concerns Committee, which seemed appropriate for a group of people who do not have access to many resources. So Lynn, if you want to come up.
Good morning. I co-facilitate the Homeless Concerns Committee with Liz Owen. The committee's been working for probably about the last 10 or 15 years, and what we do is provide support for agencies that provide direct services to our unhoused neighbors. Part of what we do is collect for hygiene kits, which most of you have been a part of, and I'm putting together these hygiene kits for the outreach workers at PATH so that they can make connections with people to hopefully get them involved in services and get them into housing. The other thing that we do is make sandwiches for Grace Baptist. They have an active unhoused services program at Grace Baptist, and so we provide sandwiches for that. We also do things like a coat collection when the weather gets a little colder, to provide warm coats for people that are out in the elements, and also provide financial support for different agencies, like we have for Grace Baptist, we have for Recovery Cafe for some of the unhoused residents that receive services there. So the money that you provide through the collections helps us to continue those services, to buy the stuff that we need for the hygiene kits, and also to provide financial support to agencies providing these services. So I thank you very much for your contributions.
So Please make checks payable to FUCSJ and write special collection in the memo, or you can donate online at sanjoseuu.org/donate. That should be up on the screen in just a second. And select monthly special collection as the recipient. We will now take up our morning's offering. We already took up this morning's offering. To the work of the church, which is making love visible in all we say and do, we dedicate ourselves and these our offerings. And speaking of a lack, over the past month and a half, 2 months, we've lost several people who are greeters / ushers. And so you may have noticed that Bill is doing double duty this morning as a worship associate and greeter. And so we need some new people to step into those roles. We've had 3 people who've had to step away for health issues, and we could probably use even more than that. So if that's something you can commit to once a week, Bill's actually the person to talk to about that. Once a month, sorry, yeah, you don't have to do it once a week. Thank you. Now I invite you to come forward and share water that reminds you of changes or transformations in your lives, your journeys, whether they're spiritual or physical. And I invite you again to just come up along the side and then speak and then pour water. If you're pouring from one of the vessels, don't pour too much, judicious, there we go. And also it's just good if we have a line just to keep things moving, because we have a number of these sharings and a number of people. So
127 years ago, my country was invaded and we lost our Spanish citizenship. Some of us are trying to regain that. And I brought some water from Asturias, Spain, in order to ask the heavens or whoever's in charge to help us with this.
This water is from our LK filtered water fountain and bottle filler downstairs. And it is for the changes that have undergone in the church the last 3 years it's been. And Garden City is done and out. We're just finishing the bathrooms and the AV system.
My name is Ben, and I think we all know that my mother died recently in July. That was not unexpected, but the latest change is that the IRS finally gave me my EIN for the trust, so I can now finally move forward into this period of how do I deal with my mother's death. Thank you.
I have developed a problem with my left hip, so a physical change that I'm having medically addressed in the next 2 months. And I hope to not limp so much.
This is water from the Pacific Ocean near our son and daughter-in-law's new home in Everett, Washington. It's a big change for them as homeowners, and they're learning much more than they want about contractors and oppressive city permitting systems.
Water from the Seine, the Danube, and the Homerode rivers, and thoughts of our friends on the other side of the world.
with gratitude to San Jose as my new home.
So I thought this was going to be abundance, but it is transformation because my garden has produced a huge amount of apples and apricots this year, among other things that I can share with my neighbors. So it is kind of transformation.
So our water is from our remodeled bathroom.
This water represents ocean water off the coast of California in Mendocino, where this summer we visited our friends of over 40 years. They're like family, and it's just so important. Family, whether they're literal or not, are so important and so appreciated.
And the Mendocino Music Festival, which was the real reason we were there.
Well,
my water would represent going to Transylvania, Romania to visit our partner church for the 4th time, and our relationship with our wonderful partner church is always growing and changing. Thank you.
And I too am celebrating the people of Transylvania that we hold so dear.
This water comes from, I'm Carolyn, this water comes from my kitchen sink where my daughter's adorable boyfriend shaved off my hair. And so this is in the transformation of how I've learned that not having hair is really quite delightful. And sincere gratitude to all of you. You know who you are sitting in your chairs that took this transformative journey with me, and to all the breast cancer survivors.
This water is from Lake Elizabeth in Fremont. This week was my first nature outing since my knee replacement.
And also thanks to everybody who for your prayers, your visits, your cards. We really appreciate it all.
Hello everyone, my name is Ben, but you could call me Benji. It's been a couple years since I've been here, but just wanted to pour out some water for my dad. He's got dementia now, but I've been practicing a lot of acceptance, and I've been on a physical journey of sobriety, and I have 89 days sober. And just a new outlook on life, and just really glad to be here.
Now it's time for our story for all ages. Oh, sorry. Thank you for reminding me about Zoom. Bringing water from Karen writes, bringing water from the Pacific Northwest along the Columbia River from Vancouver, Washington, my new home, to California, where I added waters of dear friends that gave me shelter while I was here from a distance, lands of my 50th high school reunion, grateful for access to water and natural resources. Maya writes, water from Berlin, where I made my new home, symbolic of the ocean I crossed. Shauna Nixon writes, virtual water from my house, where Eric and I are struggling to find work. And Michelle 6, water from Ashley Pond in my hometown to remember my parents. And I know from the previous one, I think I saw John about unhoused people and their lack of access to various resources. Thanks for reminding me. So, now it's time for our story for all ages, so I invite all who are young or young at heart to join me down here in the sanctuary for a story. Come on down. It's a story about people, many of whom were in a space of travel and transformation. Many people had come from far away, many different places. And so this is a story about people coming together. It's called Cooking Together, Trinidad Style. And this is a story that is adapted from someone whose name is printed in the order of service, but not on my notes. Callaloo is a thick green soup. It's eaten in places like Jamaica and Trinidad, where people say that learning to make callaloo soup is a little like learning to live. The soup goes way back in time to the days when the ports of Trinidad were full of tall sailing ships. The local Kalinago and Arawak people weren't sure what to make of them. People had sailed from all over. Some were from Britain, and others were from France and Spain. The new arrivals included people from China and India, Ghana and Mali. They came from Portugal and Syria and Venezuela too. And each of these groups arrived in Trinidad with their own language and their own songs, their own clothing and food, different from each other and from the people who lived on the island forever. People are people, and we're most comfortable with what we know. So even though Trinidad is not a very big island, people stuck closest to their own kind. The Arawak and Kalinago retreated to the forests. The Chinese avoided the French, who avoided the Indians, who mixed as little as possible with the Venezuelans, and so on down the line. Trinidad was a divided island. Things might well have stayed that way, but one rainy season, so it's told, a hurricane took a turn toward Trinidad. The storm raged like a beast, trampling over the island, tossing and turning everything up. When the hurricane finally moved on, all of Trinidad was a terrible mess. Crops were drowned, houses flattened, trees uprooted, and boats smashed to smithereens. The people who survived were scared and hungry. And you know how it can be when there are shortages. Sometimes the ugly in us can come out. Sure enough, people grew greedy. It was hard for them to find food, and when they did, they hoarded it for themselves and for their own folks. Worry, anger, and jealousy hung over the island like a great black cloud. And the island was more divided than it had ever been. It might well have stayed that way. But an elderly woman happened to notice something glinting beneath the ruins of a house. What was it? She was curious. She began to pull away the boards and rubble. They were heavy. She had to work hard. But finally, there it was, a great, huge cooking pot. The woman looked at it. She thought. As she began to hatch a plan, a big smile came over her face. She lit a fire with some of the boards and rubble, and she filled her pot with the only ingredient that she had, water. And she began to stir and to chant. The soup I'm cooking may be a little bland, but I'm cooking it for everyone on the island. Her chanting was heard far and wide. People grew curious. The soup I'm cooking may be a little bland, but I'm cooking it for everyone on the island. Well, no one wanted soup that was bland. So those who heard hurried home to search through their store of goods. A Kalinago family arrived in the square with sweet cocoa plums and starchy taro roots. The woman smiled as they peeled and then plunked them into the pot. An Arawak family followed suit with fine peppers and slices of sweet squash. A family from Mali brought bunches of green okra pods that had survived the storm. A British family delivered saltfish. An Indian family had found coconuts knocked to the ground. They cracked them open and poured the sweet milk and coconut shavings into the soup. Syrians added cumin, while the Spaniards and French came with garlic, onions, and thyme. A Chinese family contributed the big green leaves of dashin. They tore the leaves into strips that gave the soup a beautiful, deep green color. Soon the aroma coming from the pot caused people to hum and smile. The old woman stirred. Her soup was almost finished. She paused for a few moments, curious about the children she could hear down at the beach. A short time later, a big, giggling, mixed group arrived. They were all colors and shapes and sizes. They'd been too busy helping one another catch crabs to pay attention to cultural differences. They had buckets full of rich-tasting blue crabs to add to the soup. And the old woman stirred. At last, she announced, "The first ever kalaloo." That's right, it was very. The old woman ladled out scoop after scoop of the mysterious mixed flavor soup into people's bowls and calabashes and cups. It was delicious and it was hearty. Once their bellies were full, they began to talk and tell stories. They began to sing. After a while, some of them looked up. They saw the big black cloud that had been hanging over Trinidad had parted. The skies had opened up and the sun was shining again. The cultural divisions on the island of Trinidad were breaking down. It's said that the children who made the first ever kalaloo soup continued to mix and mingle. It's said that their children were the kalaloo children. Children who knew how to get along with people of all cultures, colors, shapes, and sizes. Well, I say the world needs more kalaloo soup and more kalaloo children. Thank you for listening to the story. And so now our children will go back to their seats. I know you're often used to heading to your classrooms, but head back to your seats. Now it's time to share water symbolizing the storms in our lives, the concerns, the sorrows, the confusion, and frustrations. Right now, so many of us are profoundly worried about the state of our country, about the state of our world, about our future, about folks who are vulnerable, which weighs heavily on so many of our hearts. And if we were all to share that, the line would be very long. I know. And know that those hurts and sorrows, those fears and concerns are shared by so many, not just here in this sanctuary, but throughout this country, throughout the city, this country, throughout the world, striving to make the world a better place. So as you come up, I invite you to allow this vessel to be one of receiving and healing as it absorbs your storm. I invite you to share storms that are maybe more personal. I understand the personal is often political and the line gets blurry sometimes. I invite you to use your judgment. And again, you're welcome to say a word or two about the significance of the water, or pour your water without saying anything at all. I now invite you forward to share your waters of storm and sorrow.
I have tears from the Sierra Nevada. It's the 5-year anniversary of the Creek Fire, and the Garnet Fire is still burning.
My water is symbolic because it's coming next week as I travel to Southern California to visit my summer camp, which was devastated by a mudslide, and I have not been back, and we will be going back for probably the last time.
We've brought water from the fountain called the kitchen sink of our home, where we spent a very pleasant, mostly summer, gathering. We are the eldest of a rather large, extended, blended family, and it puts us in a position where we are noticed. Now, I have to say that it was an almost perfectly pleasant summer, except for, of course, the fact that when I say dysfunctional family, that's really redundant. Most of us have things not going the way they should. And so being at the focus of this extended family, it's a lot like a trapeze act, knowing when and how to hold on, knowing when and how to let go with the hope that you will again hold on.
I pour my water today for the sorrow of losing my dog of 19 years, Lester, and the absolute joy of finding a 18-month-old cat named Siobhan, who has just been a joy to my life.
This water it symbolized my tears. I'm losing my husband, and that's it.
I would actually just like to add this water is from, it is also from Pacific Ocean, like a lot of people here, to actually kind of let go of a lot of storm, confusion, and chaos in my own life, and maybe it'll help somebody else too.
Life is nothing if it's not bittersweet. These waters are from my aunt's pool. She died just a couple weeks ago, and in a couple weeks we'll be going to her funeral in what I consider my childhood home, Gustine. So it's sort of the water of that. And in the meantime, as has already been said, dysfunctional families happen, and it's with great sadness that I go to the funeral because the family is fighting, and there's an uncle who refused to talk to me since my grandmother died, so it'll be an interesting trip.
Yeah, I'm gonna pour out some water for my younger brother who's serving a sentence in jail in Arizona, and a bigger picture for all humans who are incarcerated in jails and prisons that have a lot of problems.
Can we scroll down? Are there more in the chat? Is that it? Okay. Now, a reading, We Need One Another by George E. Odell.
We need one another when we mourn and would be comforted.
We need one another when we are in trouble and afraid.
We need one another when we are in despair, in temptation, and need to be recalled to our best selves again.
We need one another when we would accomplish some great purpose and cannot do it alone.
We need one another in the hour of success when we look for someone to share our triumphs.
We need one another in the hour of defeat, when with encouragement we might endure and stand again.
We need one another when we come to die and would have gentle hands prepare us for the journey.
All our lives we are in need, and others are in need of us. Now I'll invite you to join in singing. This is a new song. It's from the new virtual hymnal. It's Will Be Known by Our Love. You can remain seated for this. So you may have picked up, some of you may have picked up some sheet music on the way in. And the words will also be on the screen. And so this new virtual hymnal will be hearing songs from throughout the church here and far beyond. So it's I think a great new resource with lots of new music that will constantly be updated, unlike a print hymnal. Let's sing. When the raging waters flow, I'll help you to land. One of the most formative books for me as a teenager was the science fiction book Stranger in a Strange Land by Robert Heinlein. It's a story about a human, Michael Valentine, who, as a baby, was the sole survivor of the first expedition to Mars. And so he was raised entirely by Martians. And when Michael is finally brought back to Earth years later by the second Mars expedition, he's completely unfamiliar with the cultures on Earth. Now, those of you who have read the book, and maybe even some of you who didn't, probably remember the Martian word grok, which has no equivalent to any word on Earth, but can be imperfectly translated as becoming fully empathetic with someone, or understanding something so thoroughly that you merge with it, and it merges with you. It's a beautiful and rich concept, and being coined in 1961, grok became part of the late 60s counterculture and even ended up in the Oxford English Dictionary. What you may not remember is that in the book, grok literally means to drink. In part because on Mars, water is an incredibly precious resource. And so to share such a precious resource is a huge deal. So when two beings share water with one another, they become deeply bonded, so much so that they trust one another completely and would gladly give their lives for one another. Because it means they grok each other. They understand themselves as one with each other. The way we as Universalists, Unitarian Universalists, understand ourselves as part of an interdependent web of existence, of which we are all a part. Now, participating in our water communion does not require going that far in terms of our connections with one another, nor will we be drinking water from our shared bowl, because there's probably all matter of microbial life that we don't necessarily want to become literally one with. Yet, nevertheless, the sharing of water is an act of commitment, a commitment to community, a commitment of welcoming each other into our lives, to both offer and receive support from one another. It's an acknowledgement that my life is bound up with yours, and at the deepest level, I wish the best for you. Through our sharing water, we are symbolically sharing ourselves. We are opening ourselves up to each other, which requires both giving and receiving. And receiving means meeting people as they are, wherever they are in all of their complexities and identities. It means opening ourselves up to other cultures, perhaps stepping outside of our bubbles, out of our comfort zones, like the people on Trinidad who come together to make the callaloo soup after the hurricane. The problem with the cultural melting pot metaphor for art that we've often used to describe our society is that it expects us to strip away parts of our identity, some people more so than others, to become part of a homogeneous whole. I'd much rather have a callaloo or gumbo society where the elements blend together while maintaining some of their distinct character, where the taro root and peppers and squash take on the flavors of garlic and cumin and coconut milk, but remain starchy like taro, spicy like peppers, and sweet like squash. At this time, with people seeking shelter from environmental destruction, political repression, violence, and war all around the world, with the crackdown on undocumented immigrants who have broken no laws other than crossing a border, splitting apart families, with our Supreme Court saying that people can be detained based only on their accent or the color of their skin, as trans people's rights are under attack, as the threat of violence increases and people are calling for vengeance of their fellow citizens who they do not even see as human, but something less than. We must step into love more and more. In that blending together, something beautiful is waiting to be cooked, to be made, to be born. May it be so. And now our last sharing. The waters that sustain us. So as we conclude our water communion, I invite you to bring forward water that reminds you of the well springs of your life. The water that sustains you when you're feeling empty, the joys that give you hope and buoy you up. I invite forward waters of hope and sustenance.
One of the ways I deal with the difficulties of the world is gardening, so this is from my backyard.
I'm Janet and have been coming here for a while, and I'm so grateful for how this community sustains me in so many ways and over so many years. And especially, you give me the encouragement to ask tough questions and look in, just, be the voice that sometimes people don't want to hear, or ask the questions they don't want asked. So I appreciate it to the point where I made myself a necklace, and in that old Gothic script with the little lines all over the place, it says heretic.
The water I'm going to pour represents the bay where I walk with friends, and also the water at Alum Rock Park, where I also have gotten peace, friendship, and love from people in this group.
Going to the Big Sur River the last 58 years of my life, swimming in the water, going to the gorge for my son, Jesse, daughter, Alex, and then Evan, and then Lucy.
When the news batters me back and forth, I have the privilege of going up to the redwoods near where we live. And if I'm there on a misty morning, the drip, drip, drip of the waters down from the redwoods remind me that they have been there for at least 100 years.
Imagine this is salt water. What sustains me is the ocean. I grew up near the ocean. This summer we had many ocean visits, culminating in a whole 3-generation trip to Catalina with all the kids.
I'm Nancy. I have water here from Baltimore, where I celebrated the General Assembly with UUs from all over the place. It's a wonderful way to sustain your faith.
I'm Barbara. This is water from my happy place, which is our backyard, where we watch the birds, we grow a little food, and we have a good time together. For relatives I reconnected with after a long time in Michigan in June, and for a new grandson who was born in August in Seattle.
This is water from my garden hose, which made the garden grow really well this year despite the rats and the rabbits.
I'm Colleen, and I'm going to put virtual water in there for my bird bath in my native garden in the front yard that sustained me over a year of falling into a bad hip and coming out after surgery. Now I'm adding water from Alum Rock Park, where I walked 3.5 miles yesterday.
This colorful water is for the joys and exasperations of parenting.
I pour water in memory of my deceased husband, Bob Howd,
who worked for Cali, PA, was head of the water group, and that group was to ensure safe drinking water for the people of California. He worked his job with great zeal, and he also did a lot of work around this church with equal zeal. This is a natural, this water ceremony is a natural time for me to remember him.
This water is from our kitchen sink, and through all the ups and downs of politics and cancer and health, the things that have sustained us have been an incredible neighborhood, great church, and becoming Valkyrie's fans.
The water that we'll add includes the joy of welcoming a granddaughter, and additionally the joy of retiring, and gratitude for health care.
And I just got to hold the new granddaughter a few days ago, and in Bend, Oregon, where water is so abundant in the canals and river and rain. It's such a contrast.
This virtual water is water that comes from just these moments where I'm sitting with family, extended family, over long meals. If anybody's ever been to my house, I love having meals where we just sit around for a long time with the dirty plates all over the table and hang out and chat. And I had this experience last week with some of my nieces and nephews and my kids, and just had this incredible conversation. I just want to encourage you to talk to 26 and 27-year-olds. They're pretty incredible.
So I pour this water in gratitude to friends who came up to our home all the way to Fremont last week, most of them 40 years old and younger, and weeded our entire front yard and backyard and made it beautiful again.
Pour this water for the appreciation of simple joys. I've been coping with stress by reading really good novels recently again, and playing music, and it's just been really great.
This water represents Coyote Creek, where I went on a 17-mile bike ride yesterday, sponsored by the Peninsula Open Space Trust and some other groups who are protecting the land for wildlife to get from the Diablo mountain range to the Sierra mountain range. Sierra Nevada? No, what is it called? Oh, no. Sorry, I'm losing my mind. The Santa Cruz Mountains. Yeah. Happens at only two places, the Coyote Narrows and Urastack, the only two places where the wildlife can get back and forth.
This will be water for a small group that I joined this year after a long hiatus from a previous small group, as well as for water from my weekly gaming session that I've been meeting with for over 12 years.
And this is water from Santa Barbara, Goleta Beach, where I ran into the Oak Grove Unitarian congregation and connected with them, and also with my mother and her two cats who refused to use the litter box.
To pour out water for Shauna Nixon writes, virtual water for hope, the chances we still have and the resources we can share. And Claire writes, virtual water from the beautiful and peaceful Suisun Marsh, which my house overlooks so I can enjoy it every day and feel calm. And Maya writes, water of healing that can heal through wounds visible and invisible. And I'm just going to pour the rest of this water because we should pour as much water out for joy and blessings as we can get. A reminder that even when it doesn't seem like very much, there can be abundance.
English singer, songwriter, multi-instrumentalist, producer, and educator, and polymath Jacob Collier has an incredible mom. When Jacob and his little sisters were children, his mother would make them what he calls little creatures. He says, it's just a shape and two eyes. These creatures, which were actually blue, were really, really important. Everywhere I go, even now, I have a little blue creature with me. In 2023, Collier composed Little Blue, where he invites the listener to find or see whatever they need in the song. Today is our homecoming. Jacob says, my idea of home has evolved. It used to be one room where I made all my music. Now, home is like in my body. There's a home that leads me back to you. The idea of this home, whatever that means for you, is a magnet of sorts and will pull you back to that truth and to that solace. With water communion today, appropriately, you're going to hear a lot of water and nautical imagery. Little blue, be my boat, be my river, be my anchor, be my compass star. I believe this song is an invitation for all of us to be here, in this space, in this time. On September 1st of 2023, Jacob Collier recorded Little Blue with 50 of his fans at the restored Holy Trinity Bow Church in East London, featuring Jacob singing and playing his custom 5-string guitar with the assembled fans as a makeshift, untrained chorus. I extrapolated the guitar tablature and transcribed the solo voice and choral parts of this song from that performance. Here's hoping you found a way home, that you found the way home, and most importantly, that you found your way home. Shelter, be my cradle, be my womb, be my boat, be my river, be the stillness of the moon. If I could, I'd go with you to a place I never knew, in your eyes, so dark and open, there's a light that leads me back to you. 'Cause you're not so far away, I hear you say, you'll never walk alone. Oh, singing, don't be afraid of the dark in your heart. You're gonna find a way to carry the weight of the world on your shoulders. You're gonna find a way home. Little blue, be my anchor, be my light, my compass star. Be my darkness, be my danger, be the strings of my guitar. Little blue, how I love you, something strong and something true. In your eyes, so dear and gentle, there's a home that leads me back to you. 'Cause you're not so far away, I hear you say, you'll never walk alone. Oh, singing, don't be afraid of the dark in your heart. You're gonna find a way to carry the weight of the world on your shoulders. You're gonna find a way. Don't be afraid of the light. It's all right. You're gonna find your way to carry the weight of the world on your shoulders. You're gonna find your way singing, don't be afraid of the dark in your heart. You're gonna find a way to carry the weight of the world on your shoulders. You're gonna find your way, find your way, find your way home. Don't be afraid of the light. It's all right. You're gonna find a way to Find your way.
As we offer this blessing of the waters, your response, which you're not going to say the first couple times, so you'll hear it, but your response is, "This water is sacred." Say that with me. This water is sacred. So I'll cue you when it's your time.
This water is sacred.
Just wait. Now try.
Now? Okay. Now we got it. This water is sacred. It is made sacred by the many hands that have poured it with intention and love. The many stories that each drop contains. The many lives surrounding it in this unique moment. Connected by commitment and faith.
This water is sacred. May it continue to flow through this community with shining reflections of the unique gifts that flow through each of its members.
This water is sacred. May it continue to nurture this community with sustaining hope that we journey together through ripples of growth and change. This water is sacred.
May it continue to bless this community with loving reminders of our collective responsibility to one another and the world.
This water is sacred. May its ripples be a reminder that the changes and growth within this community bring movement and transformation to the world beyond our doors.
This water is sacred. May its purity offer grace to our community and the willingness to forgive ourselves and one another when we make mistakes.
This water is sacred. In moments when we are confused or uncertain, may it bring us clarity of purpose and commitment.
This water is sacred. In moments when the reservoirs of hearts and spirits are drained by sorrow or pain, may it nourish them with the knowledge that we are surrounded by a deep and abundant love.
This water is sacred.
I invite you to rise in body or in spirit for our closing hymn, Peace Like a River. We're going to sing verses 1 through 3, and I believe maybe 5, and then back to Peace Like a River. I'll call it out, or you can also look up on the screen. invite you, as you feel comfortable, to reach out and join hands or bump elbows or touch shoulders, make a connection as it feels comfortable to you. Those of you joining us online, we send our energy to you and invite you to send your energy back to back to us and to each other. As you leave this place, may what peace you found flow like a river. May what hope you found shine like a beacon. May what joy you found spread like contagious laughter. And may what love you found spill like water from an overflowing vessel and spread everywhere you go. Amen. Blessed be. Come join us for our homecoming potluck lunch.